welcome in to another edition of Chi Time with me, CLARA Apollo, here on UK Health Radio. And on this episode, we're going to dive into the energy behind menopause and beyond with my guest here is Alexandra Pope from the Red School. And welcome in, Alexandra. It's such a joy to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Clara. I'm feeling slightly overexcited because talking about menopause with a woman who's come through it and is, enjoying her new status post-menopause. I know this is going to be...
It really is quite a revelation. And being a Qigong teacher, I have been a Qigong teacher for many years. It was the call back to my personal practice that the menopause sort of basically shouted to me. And I've got a whole story about that. And you refer to the menopause as the Great Awakener. I love that. So what did it awaken in you then? What happened?
It really is like all the pieces of my life falling into place and making sense. So, up until menopause, my life was, I had always charted my own trajectory. And but I didn't have a huge amount to show in terms of sort of worldly outer kind of achievements. I mean, yes, I had a profession and actually I had written a book on the menstrual cycle. But I felt like I was an outlier, and I didn't want to be an outlier. I wanted to feel really rooted into society in a way and not be something on the fringe. And it had been somewhat esoteric, and my own nature is a little bit esoteric too. My own nature is, I'm highly sensitive. And then coming into menopause, I got the great shock of, waking up to my shadow side. You awaken to your own shit, to put it, very precisely and technically, AKA your shadow side. And that is a bit humbling, very humbling. But what comes with that, with time, is this realization of who you are. You discover what you're not, and you discover really who you are. And that for me was what my nature was. I really started to get my own nature. And it was such a relief. I mean, it almost brings tears to my eyes now, remembering that moment. And but also seeing the meaning in my life. Oh my God. I mean, that is the gift of gift almost for me now.
It is.
It really is, because I had charted this straight, because I'd been following this work of menstruality, which is what we teach at Red School.
I was going to say, I didn't say you're a co-founder of Red School, so you've already been diving into this with your amazing counterpart Sjane, and so you've been steeping yourself in this for many years now, haven't you? So
I have. I mean, I've been, all through my 20s, I was into fertility awareness for contraception. But then it was outrageous period pain just before my 31st birthday that catapulted me into this much deeper conversation about my cycle that has become what we call the psychospiritual process. The spiritual path, that, if you like, that's encoded in our bodies, that reaches its fulfillment at menopause, its sort of culmination of something. And so I've been on this trajectory actually from my very first bleed, because I had at menarche, I had an exquisite sort of awakening experience. So something was set in motion. It's just kind of magical. And then you go through the years, the dark years of really, because I had no affirmation from the world about my work, nothing, which is why I felt so much of an outlier. But I doggedly stayed with it. Because I am like that is my nature. I couldn't put it down. I couldn't actually betray. That's so interesting. Even though I had no affirmation, I couldn't let go of it. I couldn't betray myself. But it was menopause that brought the pieces of my nature together. But all the ideas I'd been growing into sort of also crystallized in, came together in a new way. It's just magical though,
It
I
is
think about
magical, and now we could speak about this having come out the other side, and yet it is such a worry and a concern. And in my 40s, all that perimenopausal like fog of like, what is this? I'm still being hijacked by my periods. Do I want them anymore? No, but if I don't have them, then I won't be fertile. If I'm not fertile, where's my creativity? Am I even a real person anymore? All these worries, and who do we speak to about that? I just think you're doing brilliant work here, giving a portal for people to come to and have these conversations about the richness of the whole, being a woman and the cycle, whatever stage of it you're at.
is
So
meaningful.
important.
Yes, every stage has its kind of developmental elements to it and self-care elements.
Massive. Well,
Massive.
that whole red tent, if that's the problem with, well, I'm going to rant on about our societies, that when women menstruate, they still have to crack on and do the thing. Well, actually, we're supposed to go hang out with other women in the red tent, have a couple of days off, chat about whatever, learn from women of different ages, different seasons, tell the stories, be in that
That's
sort
right.
of spiritual zone. And that's been taken from us. So the meaning of it all is just up for understanding deeper now. What are we being called to? We have this inside us. Where are we being called to as women to support each other through whatever stage of the cycle we're at?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You know, where the menstrual cycle is like a thread to yourself. So when you're in touch with your menstrual cycle, you're connected to yourself. And as you pay attention to your cycle over the years and these different conditions and states of being that sort of come on board, you're evolving into something. And then when you come to menopause, there's this sense of being readied for it. I mean, I felt
Right.
menopause was not a drama for me,
Okay.
even though I had challenges. I
Hmm.
saw my ass. And in terms of my psychology, but
Yeah.
my health was at best as best as it had ever been, actually. So I didn't know what a hot flush was actually till I was coming out of menopause, when I was exhausted because I was moving countries at that point. And so physically I was actually very well set up for menopause. And so I also had time and space for myself because I was single and I did not have children. And that is the other major piece, that if you have no spaciousness for yourself at menopause and you are exhausted, really those are the ingredients that contribute to the kind of trauma, to making
Oh,
menopause
yes.
feel really traumatic.
So this is helping me to understand the feistiness that occurred. So I was 52 and I was living in a toxic relationship and I was teaching 15 classes a week and I was done. I was having headaches all the time. I couldn't even get up off the floor of an evening. And my menopause was screaming at me, you have to self-care. You can't do this without giving yourself space. And I thought, well, everything in my life is currently not giving me that. What am I going to do? And it was a friend, a beautiful friend, that came to basically stroke my hair and go, "It's all right, love. You can choose something.
Oh,
You can choose something different." And I'm like, "Oh, I can choose. I could choose. I'm choosing this, which wasn't a great thing to be choosing." I found myself in that situation. I'm sure a lot of you listening find yourselves in situations that you just happen to get to, and it's like the menopause makes you wake up and go, "Is this what you want? Is this what's right for you? Because if it's not, sister, it's time to change." And I took this you can choose something different out on several walks, and it became very clear to me that I no longer wanted to teach 15 classes a week. I didn't want to be in that toxic relationship, and I didn't want to be earning all the money, so I decided to leave home and gave the keys back to the landlord and went on a home traveling, oh no, a home free journey of house sitting for 5 years. Now, I had no idea what that was going to give me, but I knew there was something within me that was absolutely making me make this absolutely like outrageous decision to just throw everything up in the air and feel like I was the fool in the tarot or just stepping off the cliff. But I followed that
describe it
wisdom.
You describe it. I can't describe it any better. It's that's what the impulse is, and how amazing that you could follow that through. But I think of all those women out there who can't leave home, can't stop work, or that aren't resourced, aren't supported. We're having children younger. I mean, we're having children later in life, is what I meant to say.
Right. Yeah,
So,
sure. When
so
they're
we're going
still at
through
home.
menopause with still children at home, and it's not a great combination, but it is what it is, and we just have to be really, really smart around our situation. And that we're writing a book that's going to come out next June, and in that we have our sort of tips and tricks for how to survive
Lovely.
a daily life whilst going through this massive initiation, because
Yeah.
we just have to be really smart. But my wish, really, my high dream, is for everyone to be able to experience a version of what you've experienced, a
Right.
chance just to go away and be on your own, and because the impulse is to listen. You're listening for something in yourself, and menopause is calling you into that deep listening. And if you can't follow that, because it is so, the imperative is fierce, as you discovered, then it comes out as reactivity with the world or with yourself. And we just need immense kindness with ourselves. Whatever situation we're in, we need to be incredibly kind to ourselves, and just to do the best that we can do, knowing that there's nothing, in a sense, there's nothing wrong with us. It's just we're going through a transition that is not supported by the culture. It's not validated or valued. And so, we sort of pathologize ourselves. But actually, what we're needing is to drop off the planet for a while.
I know. And
To
to be,
reconstitute something.
but also to be held by other women who know, other women, the wisdom of other women who've been there, done that. They know it and they can hold you. And this is huge. It really helped me.
Do you know, again, I'm feeling quite sort of tender as we're talking, actually. I can feel tears almost coming. I'm thinking of a woman I know right now who's just feeling profoundly unsupported and in a dark place, just exhausted and just yearning for a circle of women around her who know and understand and just kind of witness something. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just listening to ourselves, it's being able to witness others going through their experiences. And
Yeah,
this,
it's both a solo thing, because you have to, no one else can do this work of encounter with yourself and this work of deep acceptance of who you are. No one else can do that for you. You have to go in there alone. But to be recognized by others, to have a circle around, and people just to check in and go, am I going mad? And they go, no, you're not going mad. It's okay. You're going through an initiation.
yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's okay, and to trust the process, because there's alchemy
Yes.
at play here. And this
Yes.
is just bringing it back into the chi energy behind everything that is going on. This key piece about listening to your system, that's not just listening to the aches and pains, it's listening to the subtle emanations of wisdom that is within you, and starting to trust that I do know what's best for
Beautiful.
me.
That's, oh wow. I won't add anything more. You said it beautifully, Clara.
It's, well, it's self-honoring, isn't it? And if you've been busy like a lot of women are before the menopause, taking care of children and partners and jobs, you put everyone else first, classic story. And the menopause goes, hey sister, you need to take care of yourself up there. You got to be top priority, or the rest of it isn't going to work. And so this reminding that we can do for each other about when we're in circle, when we're with other women that get us, we all need to be reminded of this, don't we?
We absolutely do. And we also need people, because to hold us so that we can lose it. Because actually, we need to lose it. You know, we have to go in there and be brave and face ourselves. But we also, when we hit that shadow side, of course, everything looks like shit. It really does. And we just want to go, I mean, you know, we just want to say, oh, it's all, and I want to swear here, but I'll restrain myself. It's all.
Yeah.
And my life is shit. You know, it's not. But that's you. There is a moment where you feel like that, because it feels like the lights all go out at one point.
Well, it is because of this death and rebirth thing, isn't it? You know,
It
because we
is.
have to let ourselves let go. But in that process, it's the anger, the rage, the resentment, the how dare. It's like, what? Why is this happening to me? And then I was feeling into, well, all the processes to do with us being here. You know, even the process of making having a child grow in you. You just, that happens. The whole birthing process, you don't do it apart from if you push it at the end, get them out. But you know, that all happens, you feel like you're being taken over by this deep wisdom of womanhood. And
Oh, yeah.
that's the same with the menopause.
Mm.
Trust this process, it's natural. You know, and I didn't do any HRT or anything. I just came more and more into my practice of this quietude. I took myself off to Austria by the banks of a river and just took 7 weeks off. I just gave up work. I didn't have hardly any income. I had just a friend that was holding space. And because I knew that nature was going to help, but also the thing that's helped me a lot as well is using music. I find that when I listen to sounds and frequencies, that helps to bring me into a space that feels like a almost, it's a bit escapism, but it's also deep connectivity. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, 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 yes. I I need huge amounts of silence, and then very particular music at particular times.
Oh, and have you got a track that you'd like to play us of one of these particular pieces of music for a particular time?
Funny you should say that. um, at the moment, it's Bach and it's cello. I actually, any piece, cello piece will do it
I
for
know, it's great.
me. Jesus, but the Bach cello suites are. I start playing them. I will often just, when I get up in the morning, that will be the first thing I need to listen to,
Mm,
and I will play it, and it's the sound of the cello, and I
mm.
feel, it's almost, I can feel the chi dropping down inside me, like just coming into myself. And it's so deeply nourishing. It's of my soul. It has this expansive quality to it inside me. It pulls me inside and it stirs something in me. And I feel okay with the world when I hear that sound. And it does root me in myself, but roots me in the poetry of myself, I think. That's what it does.
Beautifully expressed. So enjoy this stunning track, cello track by J.S.Bach. This is the suite number 1 in G. And we'll come back with Alexandra Pope on the other side of this. Delicious
Oh, that's
cello.
done it for me.
We are here on She Time with Alexandra Pope, the co-founder of the Red School and co-author of Wild Power, this awakening of the feminine essence. It's meant to say the discover the magic of the menstrual cycle and awaken the feminine path to power. Boom! What a
Got it.
title is that?
You got it.
And and so just before the break here on UK Health Radio, we were talking about the menopause and the different kind of approaches to manage that depending on what kind of situation you find yourself in. But overall, the call to self-care, self-listening, this space, that is the medicine that is required for this time of your life. It's time to regain it, to reclaim your power for yourself. And it's a tricky one. I think that's why the menopause takes a little while, because it can't just suddenly happen. It's the process of unwinding. It's different length of time for everyone, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no kind of one size fits all with
No.
menopause. It's really predicated on your own nature, your life situation, your overall health, all these different elements come to bear on your experience of menopause. And it is uh, this great death and rebirth process. And that doesn't happen overnight. You're dismantled first, and then you're in the unknown, complete sort of down in the darkest hole for a little while. And then the lights start to return. And you come out the other side, and really you look back and go, that just feels very remote in history now to me.
And also such a relief to come out the other side, because when you're in it, like anything, you just feel that, when is this going to end? This is relentless. I can't see the light. But then listening and hearing other women's stories, there's the reassurance in that this is the pathway of life, just
I think
rolling itself through.
women's stories are really, really important. The other thing I think that's really important to remember is that actually it can feel, you see, menopause, if you can trust menopause actually holds you. I think of it as like a holding in and of itself. And it's the acceptance of what menopause is asking of you that then starts to allow meaning to unfold. And that meaning nourishes you. So I had provocative moments going through menopause, but it actually felt very organic too. Like it's almost like I got instructions at the age of 48 before I was in menopause. And then about 3 years later, I suppose menopause proper began, but I never sort of gave it a term, menopause. It just sort of happened. But when I say I got instructions, I got clear thoughts in my head of what I needed to do with my life. They were big. And I thought, oh, geez, yes, that is definitely what I want to do. Now, how am
I going to do that then?
How do I do it?
Exactly.
And it took me 7 years. And it was coming out the other side of menopause. I was 55, because I was living in Australia, and it was about moving back to the UK, and it was about stopping being a psychotherapist and just doing this menstruality work. And I'm self-employed, and I had to generate all that. And I bloody well did. Did. I mean, it's just, I didn't look at the figures. I just knew what I had to do. And it's this line to yourself that sustains you. I mean, it's pretty wild when I think back on what I did, because it's like jumping over at the edge, and going, hoping to fly. And, but it didn't feel mad to me.
No, there's a surety of the dynamic of the urge. It's like, no, this is what I need to do. And there's as I say, forging that trust within the wisdom of yourself. It's there.
That's really important, Clara. And that forging of the trust of the wisdom within you happens. You develop that over your menstruating years when you're practicing menstrual cycle awareness, which is what we teach, one part of what we teach at Red School. And so by the time you get to menopause, there's this stronger, there is this sturdiness within yourself to meet it.
And this we can liken to the earth element practice in Qigong, that you keep bringing yourself back to your connection with your root, with the Great Mother, with gratitude, with nourishment, with sweetness, with connection, with this innate inner power that's like the feminine yin power of just being is enough. And to step out of all this doing and action, it's been my challenge recently, is what I call the do-be dance, which is, am I going to do everything, or am I going to be and let the doing come from the being? it's a challenge because I'm quite yeah, I like to
You do
play.
it. You
I like to dance.
you like to dance. No, you never give up dancing.
No, I don't.
I think you've described something. It's very beautiful what you've described, and about keeping. Actually, when you were speaking, what I was thinking very particularly of is when you're in that really what may feel like a bit like a bleak time of menopause, actually physically being in nature and feeling the physical earth, and that I mean, it's mind-blowing how powerful that is.
And it's so easy to overlook because it's so simple. A bit,
Yes,
like connecting with the power of your breath and knowing that if you elongate that exhale, it'll help to kick in the parasympathetic
I
nervous
know.
system.
That is so,
Why was I not taught that at school?
no. Do you know, actually, breath is amazing, and just that you just said. But my other thing is, which I would definitely tell all women to do, learn alternate nostril breathing. Do it for 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
Fantastic for easing hot flashes, soothing your system. And I do it, I still do it
Yes.
religiously before going to bed, because
It's finding what works for you and having a time to explore this. So recently I did a webinar on Qigong and the menopause, and it was all about the earth element, and because I found that helped me so much. But from researching what you're doing in Red School and with this this menopause and indeed post-menopausal arena that we certainly find ourselves in now, I'm feeling it's more around the metal element, which comes after the earth element. It makes absolute sense to my mind as well as how I'm
yes,
feeling, because the metal element is linked to the crystals as well, and they're forged, you probably know this, deep in the earth. So you have to get the earth connection so that you can mine the gold of this discernment, exquisite bounty that's within you, that is like in the early autumn of our lives. And we're recording this in the autumn of 2021, and I'm like, okay, now I'm starting some more of the gold pennies are dropping in here.
you say it so beautifully, Clara. I love that image of the crystals being forged in the earth, because that at menopause you are forging something. You are fiercely, it is fierce, it's uncompromising, and if you compromise one iota, you know, you will know it, you will feel it. So yes, you go through this profound forging of your identity, and then you come out, and then it's about utilizing what has come through. And you know, we were talking about energy earlier before we came on the call, and I was thinking about this post-menopause energy, you know, literal chi in the system.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, you know, I don't have the physical energy, say, of Sjane, my colleague, you know, who's actually 24 years younger than me. Bastard.
Lover.
24 years younger than me. But it's so interesting. I have never been more productive in my life, let me just say.
Wow.
I can work harder now, and I produce more than I have ever done before. And I really want to think through what the ingredients are of this.
Mm.
One is I know myself,
Mm.
so I do not scatter my chi over a ton of things. It is this discipline, this discernment. You say discernment is everything, everything post-menopause. And so you know what your business is, and you know what you're good at and what you're not good at, and you stay in your lane, so to
Yeah.
speak. And you've I'm just very refined in my thinking about what's in and what's out when I'm working on something. So it's a sort of smart, I'm much smarter at how I use the energy I have. So I think of the energy I have as really potentized. And the other thing that I speak of post-menopause is you've got this imaginal power. You know, my mind, I feel like we had this mind power. I mean, we all have mind power, but post-menopause, it's like your imaginal mind picks up from where your physical body may have left off. You know, you may not have the same physical chi, but you've got this fierce kind of imaginal energy. And it feels to me like a really tangible kind of physical chi, really. And I suppose it is really this discernment. Everything I've just said, really, just leading up to it.
And I think the other word is clarity, and
Yes.
no messing about.
Oh, no,
As you said earlier, don't want to waste my chi over there or over there. I want to be here. I want to be doing this. You keep coming back into center, which is what the qigong practice is. You keep coming back to the wuji, that central structure of connection to heaven and earth and the heart and dantians and all that. And anything that sends you off center, you question it and go, hang on a minute. You know, I'm obviously still work in progress here. Alexandra's much further down the road of this.
No. You're always a work in progress.
Always.
And you're always away. But I mean, I have to say, I have fierce boundaries, actually.
Yes, that's another property of the metal element, you see. So there's something here that I've only learnt today through researching and speaking with you, that the menopause is, yes, definitely rooted in the earth, but is a metal element expression of the feminine.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yes.
I mean, you're always talking about alchemy and gold. I mean, hello, that's metal. Oh, this is so fascinating. Alexandra, I know that you have got something special coming up at the Red School that people could come into on the 20th of October. Could you tell us about that? Because it's free, isn't it? What's going on?
Yes, we've got we've got a big online course coming up, but we've got this really lovely event 2 weeks before it, which is a free event where we're going to be giving you a taste of the menopause process. And we've got this wonderful exercise that we do. I can't even describe it, but it's an exercise we do, which we actually don't do on the course itself. I don't think we do. But to give you a feel for a kind of new story of menopause, basically. So, and then in that free course, we will be telling you about the menopause online course that will be following that in 2 weeks' time. So if you want to just drop in and have a little taste of our work, and please come to that free event. And you'll find the link at redschool.net/menopause. Very simple, redschool.net/menopause. And you'll find how you can sign up for the free call. But if you want to take a peek at the course itself, you can actually just read on. We've got a very, very full description of the course. And if you don't want to waste your time, I mean, mess around any longer, you could just book on the course itself. But come to the free call anyway, actually. It's actually, I think of it as a component piece of the course itself.
Of course. That's lovely. Oh, thank you so much. I would love to be there as well. Is it in the evening?
No, it's at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, that's great, because I do dance medicine of an evening, so I could do that and then go straight to dance medicine.
Yeah.
Oh,
great. And actually, I should also just emphasize that, of course, everything is recorded, so you can listen to it in your own time. So sign up. If you can't make it live, you'll get the recording automatically.
And if people are listening to this after the 20th of October, they can still come over to redschool.net or hang out with you on Instagram, Red School as well.
Yes, no, they can. Well, if they go to that link, redschool.net/menopause, they'll find the recording.
Oh, great.
Yes, we'll post it there. They'll find the recording, and then you can read about the course as well, and you can just join the course.
Fabulous. Oh my goodness, you're doing such great work. You really are. This is it feels like your life's work is culminating right now. And it's you, to quote Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes about being a late bloomer in the menopause, which is something I feel. Is that something that you feel as well?
Absolutely. I mean, in a way, I've always felt like I was an artist with a day job, you know, and I was doing the day job right up until menopause. And then basically I kicked the day job and took up, you know, full time, took up my art, because of course I had been doing my art, you know, dabbling away on the side, which is this menstruality work. And it hasn't come to fruition until this, you know, post-menopause phase of my life, because it wasn't the time. It's so interesting. It's world timing, but it was also the necessity of my own maturation to be able to hold the charge of this work.
Yeah.
And I couldn't speak on menopause until I'd gone through it. So it's almost like I needed all the pieces of the puzzle to really feel the full gestalt, of what's at work for us, the full gamut of the spiritual path and practice that's encoded in the menstrual cycle journey, from menarche right up to menopause, and then finding its full expression post-menopause life.
The post-menopausal plateau is what I will name it as. Because it's lovely to be free of the ups and downs of what I would refer to as being hijacked by my hormones, and more in tune with the cycles of the moon and the waters. I know it's all connected, and I would love to talk to you more, but we're gonna have to wrap this one.
Oh no, Clara, I could happily go on talking with you, but I'm going to come back again when the book comes out.
That would be a joy.
We can do another round and bring up different elements. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you, and your languaging and insight is so rich. It's fabulous to engage with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're bringing it. All these pearls of wisdom are coming through me. But that's what happens when you're in conversation with someone else that has a resonance. You help to bring out the wisdom of one another, and it is.
True. I agree with you.
So thank you for all that you shared with us here. And there's so much more. As Alexandra says, you can find out more about her on redschool.net and on Instagram and on Facebook, all the usual stuff. But actually, it's just been an honor and a thrill. And this has been a wish of mine for many years to speak with you. So thank you so much for your time and wisdom.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you.
And thank you all for listening and watching. If you want to find out more about what I get up to, head over to claraapollo.com. I have online Qigong sessions happening, and we've just released our winter solstice yin qi 3-day, I'm going to say extravaganza, but that doesn't seem quite the right word for something that's very yin. But I'll tell you more about that as things unfold. But I've actually got a treat for you now. At the end of the show, I will be playing a track for Alexandra and all of you on the topic of this gold, this alchemizing the gold within. So you have to listen to the whole show to find out what that is. So until the next time, next week, we're going to have, I think Haroon Rabbani is going to be back with us talking about the soil and the earth and all of that. But I'm just loving that we have got to the point that the menopause is all about the metal and the crystals and the exquisite properties of who you really are. It is something to truly look forward to and to nurture yourself through, and just be grateful for the process that runs through and the support that you can get from your other women, and particularly the Red School. They're doing wonders there. So thank you again. Thank you all for listening and watching. Your energy is important.